as a preliminary matter, this is Stephanie Texera, co-chair of the Grafton Library Trustees. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Great. So good evening. This is an open meeting of the Grafton Library Trustees, Board of Trustees. This is a meeting being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's orders to suspend the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. In order, which you can find posted on the town's website, which allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials have been provided to members of this body and are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. So some ground rules. We will be first turning to the first agenda item, but before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting them by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you, stating your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in colloquially with other members, please do so through the chair and take care to identify yourself. Public comments during this meeting will be conducted through, there will be no public comments through this meeting. All right. Finally, just want to take a moment and call to order. Trustees, when I say your name, could you please reply in the affirmative? Martin Essner.
You need to unmute.
Here.
Doug Bowman.
Aye.
Karen Sepatelli.
Here.
Aaron Vandersteen.
Here.
Dana Wilson. Has Dana joined? No. I, Stephanie Texera, and then staff Beth Galloway.
Here.
Thank you. All right, so I would like to call this meeting to order at 7:10 p.m. First item on the agenda is approval of the March 2nd meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of March 2nd.
Thank you.
Can I second?
Yeah.
I don't get that opportunity often.
Is there any discussion? All right. Forgive me. Do I have to roll call the agenda minutes? I do. Okay. All right. So without further discussion, please say aye. Martin Essner.
I to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Doug Bowman.
Aye.
Karen Sepatelli.
Aye.
Aaron Vandersteen.
Aye.
And we're still waiting on Dana.
All
right.
Stephanie, did you accept?
Oh, and I, Stephanie Texera.
There you go.
Thank you. Item 3 on the agenda would be to approve bills for FY22. We have warrants 37, 38, and 39, which we can approve together unless there is discussion. Do I have a motion to accept?
I make a motion to approve bills on warrants 37, 38, and 39.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on bills, warrants 37, 38, or 39? Without hearing any discussion, we'll do a roll call. I, Stephanie Texera, Martin Essner,
Aye.
Doug Bowman,
Aye.
Karen Sepatelli,
Aye.
Aaron Vandersteen,
Aye.
and still no Dana. All right, so we're
Yeah,
going
Dana's texting me saying she's having problems getting in, so I'm helping her out.
Okay,
trying to.
thank you. So we'll move now on to ongoing business. Beth, would you like to talk about the building program and grant?
Sure. So we continue to work on the punch list. We are still waiting for glass for 2 study room doors and a 3rd door that is coming with glass in it. We are still waiting for a gate for the bottom of the stairs. We are still waiting for bifold doors of some kind to close off the maker space and the presentation area, one in the teen room and one in the community room. We're still waiting for delivery of signage on the 1st floor of exit signs that have a wheelchair symbol on them so that it's noted that they're handicapped accessible. We have IT coming tomorrow to look at where we need to add additional drops, mostly in the children's room for Ethernet cable, because while the Wi-Fi is great, it's not always reliant or spotty, and we are doing some gaming and streaming on those computers and really need a wired connection, and the same for the teen room. ADA counters are still outstanding, but the construction company and architect have come to an agreement on who owns what counters and sinks and who will pay for which pieces. And they asked me for a suggested schedule of work. And I looked at our meeting room calendar and then said, I can't figure it out. My recommendation is that we have lots of availability between May 28th and June 17th, but they of course would like to get it done much sooner. So Ron from DRA Architect agreed to take that on and is working to schedule the work. It's not a matter of we're going to close the children's program room for 3 days in a row and just work on that one sink or counter. We have, I think, 11 counters and 4 sinks that need to be, taken off the wall, lowered, retrofitted with in a different kind of way to reattach them. And each step takes like a day in between. So I'll do my best to work around what you would like to do. For example, if we have story time scheduled in the children's program room, then we can move that to a different meeting room as long as they're not also going to do the sink in that meeting room. So I turn it over to somebody else to figure out a schedule, and we're hoping to get that work done as soon as possible. What else today? A door got delivered to replace a door, and it's the wrong door. So I communicated with the construction team about that. We have some lighting that was added, and then that created another issue with lighting in another spot in that same room. Staff are still noticing, little things like the plastic on the crash bar for an exit door is coming off and needs to be reattached, and there's a rivet that's poking up that needs to be, like hammered down or something. So we're, again, finding little things here and there that still need to be corrected. Some of which will get corrected as scope of project, and some which will not. I understand Art Rail has been ordered. We do have Word installed, I think, on 2 sets of computers now, and it needs to be added to a 3rd in the laptops. I'm trying to get the town administrator to pay for deep freeze for all of the public computers, which is a software that you install, and then whatever changes patrons make, when we reboot the computer, it reverts back to how we want that library computer to be. So it's not saving personal documents, it's not saving your internet history, It's not allowing you to download or install programs, and it's resetting the desktop to the icons that we want to be promoting, like for databases, and to a browser that has the library website. So he's trying to find some funding for me, so that I don't need to go back to the board or the construction project to get that funded. So things are trucking along. We have a construction meeting that's now on Monday afternoons at 4 o'clock. Building committee is scheduled to meet the first Monday of April. We scheduled a May meeting just in case. We are still waiting for some signage. Dana, I know you're working on donor plaques, but I also asked Sunshine Sign, who's local, if they would do our hours signage and a couple of other signs. That was back in February, so I just followed up again yesterday to ask what's the deadline? Was there something I needed to sign that I didn't? So we can move that along too. Comments about this building are generally, it's beautiful. If you had a chance to skim through the director's report, I am getting some feedback on the carts that the holds shelving, that's replaced the hold shelving in the lobby. It's low for people that they don't necessarily like it. It's only 2 shelves and it's not right at the floor. And then our stacks, we deliberately didn't put those on the floor. They're raised about 4 inches with the bottom shelf that's tilted, so you can see the spine labels really clearly. But we chose to keep our stacks really low so that we had visibility and visual control as staff members. So that's kind of resulted in particularly more elderly patrons complaining that they can't get down to those low shelves at the bottom, but staff are always available to assist if needed. It's probably not great if you're pregnant either to crouch down and try and get to those bottom shelves. And then I presume landscaping is happening at some point, and patio furniture and some other things. We're having trouble getting somebody to do the patio lighting that we wanted to add. And somebody was here from veterans to look at the HVAC on the roof. This morning, they were gone by the time I arrived. They were here very early. And now all day we're getting flags about the system, alarms and errors. And I'm hoping it's because they're offsite in testing and not because now something has gone catastrophically wrong with the $18,000 unit that they replaced up on the roof. It's just like a little computer component to help run that system. So I'm going to be following up on that as well. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, Beth. I might just have one question before I open it up. You made mention that you're waiting for handicap accessible signs. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that, is there a way that we're identifying that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we printed out the symbol, laminated it, and attached it right to the sign so that those doors that a wheelchair can exit through are easily identifiable. Because every entrance on the Upton level at the parking lot, and none of them at the common level because it goes out to the stairs and you can't get out that way. So.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
So a point of order, you had stated at the beginning of the meeting that there was no public comment, but it is a public meeting and I now have 2 guests who I led into our public meeting. So I don't know how you want to proceed with that. They would ordinarily identify themselves for the record. And I know Jen Vacca, hi Jen, but I don't know who Susan is or her last name. And I'm the one taking the minutes tonight and I need to know.
Yeah, sure. No, thank you.
Welcome.
I also know that we had a trustee join us. So Dana, if you could just confirm that you are here.
Yes, I'm here. I did it. Yes. And I was going to just add to Beth, I've been asking about those signs that she's been looking for. So I'm on it too.
Thanks.
Okay, perfect. And then if we have any guests, can you just unmute and identify yourself for the record?
Hi, my name's Sue DaCosta. I live at 101 Keithel Road. I was just calling to listen in. I'm just stopping to listen in, not make any comments.
Okay, thank you. Lovely to have you tonight. And Jen?
Hi, thank you. Just listening in. Jen Vacca, 4 White Birch Lane.
Thank you. Nice to have you both here.
Thanks. Sue, I'm sorry I missed your last name.
DaCosta, D-E-C-O-S-T-A.
Okay, and now I will open it up if anyone has questions for Beth regarding the building program or grant update.
So,
Doug?
yeah, my only comment, Beth, is so the art rail was ordered and says it was delivered. So it should be at the library somewhere. I can look at the tracking information if you need it.
Okay, I have
Delivered
not
yesterday.
seen it, but I didn't look today. I was mostly in the teen room because it was an early release.
Okay.
Thanks. I'll check.
Aaron, did I see your hand?
Yeah, so Beth, what was done on computers at the older space? I know you mentioned deep freeze is a need, but do we have anything of the sort, or is this kind of an enhancement that would, I mean, I certainly believe in the product and I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. We, when I started, we had Fortress and then we just had antivirus, but we only had 4 computers to manage. And we'll have 32 laptops and I think 10 public access computers. So it was easy for me on a Friday afternoon to go around to 6 different computers and empty the recycling bin and clear the history and delete any documents. I can't do that on this scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this was written in the building program that we would have it, and it was a request when I specified what I needed for computers in the new building, and it was omitted, and I don't know why.
Okay, thank you.
Marty, it looks like you're unmuted. Do you have something?
No, I do not. I'm sorry. I'll mute.
That's okay, thank you. If I don't hear any other comments, we can move on to the FY22 budget update. Beth?
I did email out the updated budget. I'm happy to take any questions. We are, I think 65 or almost 70%, 75% through the fiscal year with just here at the end of March, just about. So we have April, May, and June to get through. We're mostly in good shape. I still remain concerned about 3 different things. It's the HVAC contract. If there's another $5,000 to come out of building maintenance that had not been budgeted for, that would be a bit concerning. I have not heard back yet from the accountant about credits for utilities that are owed and the change to the commercial rate, which should bring our next bill down. And then the third thing is what I had budgeted for the copier. I hadn't taken into account that with this new contractor, we weren't getting free printing as we had for the previous copier. And we make copies for library programs that, you know, had always kind of just been covered. And now the bill is higher than, in addition to the lease, I'm now paying for, like, if we're going to make 12 copies of the ukulele handout, that's 14 pages for the ukulele program, like we have to eat that cost. So I'm keeping an eye on the revolving account to make sure we can, because I had the money for 3 years for the lease alone, but not for the paper, which the company is charging for per copy as well. We will not be leasing directly through that company when the contract is up.
Sounds a bit strange.
All right,
Mm.
thank you, Beth. And I did see that you sent that out. Does anyone have questions about the email that Beth had sent out regarding that budget?
It's also
Carrie?
a month and a half old at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the appropriate time or not, but are the Temps still working? Because I know you had, all right, so they're gone. So did the money we allocated for Temps cover everything for them?
I don't think it did, so I'll be asking at town meeting to balance the budget and use some of my unused salary to go back into state aid so that I don't exceed the $33,000 I was holding to. Yeah, but I haven't run a separate report to take a look and see what the cost came out to. We did have them for an extra month.
Yeah.
And 2 of them were hired on as permanent. One is
Right.
permanent staff and one is a temp.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Doug?
Yeah, can you just give us like what's the next step with the budget? Like, are you waiting for town, or are they waiting for you for something else, or just?
Yeah, so for the FY22 budget, if I determined that what we were allocated is not in fact going to cover the basics of building maintenance, utilities, or the copier lease, then I would ask for an adjustment to be made at town meeting, possibly from free cash. And I would have to do that, I think, by mid-April. So I'd just be sending a note to the board to alert you that I would ask to move money around or ask for additional funding. And then I hope that you go to town meeting and vote to balance the entire town budget for FY22.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who has a question for Beth? All right, seeing no questions, let's move on to the FY23 capital request. Beth?
I don't have very much new to report. I will say that I know the one thing that did make it, that should be making it onto the town warrant was a request to add a gate and a self-check for the teen room. It has an exit door to a teen patio that was an out of scope funded by capital campaign project. That's wonderful, but the door that leads to it had originally been intended only as an emergency exit. And since we want to now provide fluidity for the kids to go from the indoor teen space to the outdoor one, and we want to make that door active and not just an emergency exit, we do need a security gate so that they're not bringing library materials in and out. And I had a plan that we were going to have just 4 self-checks in the building with intent to add more if we needed them. I don't have the capital request in front of me, but that was like the one thing that everyone, yeah, sure, and put it on. It could always get voted down at town meeting or, vetted by another committee or like finance committee who could say, they could wait another year. It's more important to do XYZ project, which would, be fine. I think I submitted 7 or 8 total projects. And one made it on for next year, which is great.
All right, great. Thanks, Beth. Before I open it up, I just have one more question about that door. Is there any signage that needs to be changed with that, or we're just looking for that security gate?
I think right now it probably has just a paper sign on it saying emergency exit only. So
not a big deal to change. All
Not a
right,
big deal
thank
to
you. Karen, did I see your hand?
Yeah, just a question. If it does not get approved for that budget, does that door just stay closed at that point?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
And then teens have to exit to the lobby or check out elsewhere in the building, the children's room, upstairs at the borrower services desk, or at the other end of the hall in the historic reading room.
And just walk around. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions about the capital request? Dana.
Yeah, so just on that about the door, so I understand it. So what you want to do basically, you want a door that kids can enter and leave. So they wouldn't have to go to the main entrance to get into the library. They could go to the patio, do some studying, saying, hey, I need a book, and go right in. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah,
And
we would
that
just unlock it.
And you can tell, would you be able to at a later date tell the capital campaign committee how much that costs? So we could see if we might have the funds or do something else to get the funds. I think that's pretty good. I think that's a good priority, and I'd like just to know more. I don't need to know now, but if you want to tell me later, that would be good.
Yeah, I can send a copy. And then
Okay.
You might also consider adding a gate in the children's room because they have a similar issue where they do have an emergency exit. It's intended, I think, that staff would lead them out that door, and be aware if they had materials in their hands, they'll be going out for story time to sit on the patio and have the program outside, which is a little different than teens coming in and out and having materials, or maybe not.
I think teens would be more, because we really want the teens to feel comfortable and want to get them into our library. And if they come down to the patio and communicate and play chess and do other fun stuff, and they come in to use the bathroom, and then they're picking up books and doing other stuff. So just send that to me, and our committee will talk about it. Thank you, Beth.
The kids are very active, and there's a lot of in and out because they're meeting a friend, or their group, their food is coming and they want to run out. So there's a lot of traffic from the teen room out the door and back. So this would also alleviate that issue.
I think
that side door.
I could see the importance of it. Thank you, Beth.
Thanks.
All right, seeing no other hands at this time, let's move on. Beth, I know you touched on a little bit of the IT update, but if you could go a little bit more in detail, that'd be great.
I have, I think, FY23 budget next. But I can talk about IT if you want.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it got
Oh,
skipped.
yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
That's okay.
FY23 budget.
Yeah, just give me a minute because I think I'm gonna try and open it up on my computer. This is always fun for the folks at home because I still haven't figured out how to go on Zoom and say, don't share my screen when I'm scrolling through looking for something. So hum the Jeopardy theme song at home if you're playing along. Okay. So we just finished a salary and classification project with a consulting company who looked at job descriptions, interviewed staff, sometimes individually, sometimes in groups, and then came up with these positions in all these different municipal departments are similar and can be grouped together. And here's a recommended starting salary and ending salary in 12 steps. So this is something that we haven't had in the 10 years I've been here. Union staff get automatic step raises and cost of living raises, but municipal non-union staff do not. And the library staff who are not union have been included in this process. Money was set aside to help get staff paid more at value of the duties they perform. And the end result was that I have two staff who bumped up from library technicians to library associates, which gives them a nice little bump in pay. I think just about every single person got a raise. Some got 30 cents, some got $2. Our full-time master degree department head level staff had decent enough salaries because of the reclassification that I asked for about 6 years ago, where a lot of people went up 30% over 3 years. So now we're bringing the $18, $19, $20 an hour people up to 23, 22, 23, 24. And after the consulting company made their recommendations for where everybody should fall as far as their step, their grade and their step, the town said, oh, but you know, this was an FY23 report and recommendation. It's now FY23, 4.5% cost of living raise for all staff. And it's huge. I can't convey how much we appreciate it. We've had anywhere from 0 to 2% over the last couple of years, so it's significant. The result of this is that the budget has jumped. So last year, our budget was at $887,254 allocated for the library. And I had been told I could not exceed $100,000 extra for FY23. So I made my budget proposal accordingly. But the salary increases bring us up to 1.303 million. So this is the first time the library budget will exceed $1 million. And I was not asked to make any further reductions, which is a huge relief. So I want to thank everybody who attended FinCom and said their piece to advocate for. We still need more staff, but at this point, it's great that staff are going to get paid what they're worth and will continue to advance in a way that they haven't in the past. And I want to see that happen. Almost more than I want more people on the desk. If it turns out there's extra money, we desperately need help in teen services. So, you know, hopefully they'll find another $20,000 so we can add some more teen services staff. But this step is huge and really appreciated. So the next step is this goes to FinCom. They make their overall budget recommendations for each department in the overall budget. And then it will get put on the town meeting warrant and voted on at town meeting, which I believe is the second Monday. Unless they decide to move it to a Saturday again, which is possible. So I'll hope that you all come out to vote for the library budget.
Thank you, Beth. And again, sorry for skipping that on the agenda. Does anyone have any questions on that or comments?
I just have a real quick question. Just to clarify, Beth, that consultant, so that was town-wide? Okay,
Yeah.
That's what I thought you said. Yep,
Yeah.
it's great.
All right, wonderful. So now we will go to the IT update.
IT comes when we have problems. We haven't seen them in a while. They're coming tomorrow, and I can't wait to see them. That's
Okay,
all.
I know IT is an ongoing discussion. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Beth regarding IT, especially before they come? Aaron?
So Beth, you mentioned the software was getting installed. I assume that you were doing some of those installs. Is that on the agenda for IT to do that?
So I am not doing those installs. Yeah, so this was Microsoft Word Office Suite licensing. Again, for 40 licenses. There's no way that I can sit and go from computer to computer in the building and do that, dedicate my time to it. So no, the IT company is doing it. I think they actually were talking about picking everything up and taking it off site and taking care of it. I said, that'd be great, but I really need deep freeze too. Do you want to do it all together? Like, I have not yet, I should knock on wood. We have 4 computers for adults, 3 for teenagers, and 4 in the children's room. Children's room ones have been out of order and come back online on April 1st. But I haven't had people waiting in line, complaints about not having computer access. So I'm not rushing to get the laptops out. We technically have more computers in the building than we ever had before. So it's been manageable.
Yep. So just thinking about the increase of computers that you have, and understanding that a lot of them aren't going to be powered on all the time. It's important that devices get updated periodically.
Mhm.
So I imagine that if there's a number of laptops or things that are just sitting offline, if you have to take those out of storage and give them for public use or for staff use, I guess I'm just concerned that, or want to just flag that as something for the IT department to make sure that, they address that we're not
Okay,
giving stuff out that could be vulnerable.
thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Anybody else have anything for Beth regarding IT? All right, not seeing anything. We're going to move to Dana. If you could provide us an update for the library capital campaign.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Well, right now, what we've been doing, Doug and I and the other committee members, we've been focusing, Doug and I have been focusing on helping getting these out of the scope projects done. And also we're working on we had a donor wall that's been installed. So now we're working on donor plaques for the specific rooms, and they will look similar or have at least a graphic element from that. So I've been we also have been working on a couple other plaques for the rooms that were the endowments were larger. And so I'm still waiting for some quotes from one of our vendors. So I have to get back to them. The other thing is the good news is that we are working on, we had a donor that provided us funds to make the community patio area really look spectacular. So we're meeting with a local nursery person on Friday and wants to do the project and is available. And so we're going to talk to them, but we want to basically make it, the area needs to be a little bit tidied up as far as some plantings, and we need to do something with that. I'm going to call it a bank of dirt, but I know that's not what it is, just so that there's not erosion. And we also want to plant some, we had gifts for the amphitheater, and we're going to plant some beautiful perennial beds. And we're going to ask the landscaper, we kind of are considering what can we do as like a shield, just so that the kids can't really see the street so well. So they won't run away from, they won't climb up that hill. So we're going to see what our landscaper suggests. And we're also working on the lighting. I was going to say, we're working on that lighting too. We're going to have the landscaper be involved with that. And I have to talk to Doug, but we're going to look for, I've asked for help, but we're going to look for an electrician. We're going to get somebody who can do it. And, we'll have plans for people to see, but that's what we're working on. It's going to look a lot better. What happened is that we made a decision to hold off on the landscaping because of the weather. And also we thought we might be able to do it more economically with local people versus, you know, the architects and all them, because they were a bit slow. So this is sort of what we wanted, but I had been in touch with someone locally who was going to do it, but a person can't help us. So I've missed like 2 months, but we're going to catch up fast. And then trying to think what else we're working on. That might be it. And I'm trying to help Beth. I've helped Beth with different projects. So the other thing is I also asked, I had a discussion with Paul Scarlett, and he wanted to know, he was talking to me about, they have a new plan to shield those, all the, I guess the air conditioners that are on the roof. And he said, it's a lot less money. So I said, would you please send me an email? And he hasn't. So I sent him and I sent both Paul and John Stevens an email, since John is also on, I think he's on the building committee and on one of the historic district committees. So we're going to see what that costs so we can figure it out if we can help with that. Otherwise, you know, we have to figure out funding. So there's a couple of things right now that we didn't think would happen that need our help. So we're going to, Doug and I and our colleagues have to sit down and figure out, you know, how we can do everything. We do have a piano that's being worked on right now, and it's really going extremely well. I want to go up there. I haven't been able to, but we're pretty excited about that. I think it may be ready sometime in April. I'm trying really hard to have other stuff ready too, Beth. So I mean, I just kind of have to really work a little bit harder with our vendors and get them going. But I don't know. And then we're still getting funding from different people that owed us money, and as they go on, and Doug and I are there's a few people we have to get back in touch with who haven't given us like a deposit, hasn't given us, you know, a payment this year. So he and I are working on that.
All right, wonderful. Doug, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just I mentioned the art rail earlier. That was delivered Monday. We also ordered the 3D printer supplies, so they should be on their way, or certainly there soon. The lobby desk, I mean, we're learning firsthand how challenging it is to A, just get people to respond, and B, to get information. So the lobby desk, I think I mentioned this last meeting, the countertop was discontinued, so they're looking for alternatives for that, but I haven't heard from them in a couple weeks. And as Dana mentioned, it's been quite challenging getting people to respond. So that's it.
Well, you know, thank you, Doug and Dana and the whole Capital Campaign Committee for the amount of work that you have been putting in. Does anyone have questions for Dana or Doug regarding?
I was just going to quickly say we're working on also we've got a committee that's going to work on all the furniture, outdoor furniture, to come up with what might work and might not. So we can, you know, choose and select what we want. And we know we're not going to get it, but we wanted to have some of the stuff by May 15th, but that's not going to happen. But Beth is okay with that. So anyway, we're working on that. We're working on that as well, is what I wanted to say.
Okay.
And also there's another thing I have to talk to Beth, because there's a couple other projects we were working on that have kind of fallen to the wayside. So I will talk to her separately just to see, you know, how we get them back going.
Okay, thanks, Dana. I'm sure excited for that update. Beth?
I just wanted to say that any furniture probably has to be vetted, not by the Interiors Committee, but by the Grafton Historic District Commission, because the teen patio stuff anyway will be visible by the street. And I'm personally torn about, do we want heavy classic wrought iron, or do we want lighter, more modern furniture? And it kind of seems like it should all match, so that if we want to move a chair from one place to another, we're able to easily do that and have it all go together. That's what we did for the interior of the building. So just some things to keep in mind.
Thank you, Beth. I would agree. And you did tell me that in an email, and I forwarded that to the committee. So we know about that, but you're absolutely right. Like we had the whole landscaping of the whole site of the library is cohesive. It conforms. So we'd like to do the same thing with our selection. It makes sense.
I'm also saying it so you help me remember that they have to be invited to any meeting. And then they have to bring it to their meeting and vote to approve it. And we might need like I forget, there's like a certificate of, yes, you can do that they will grant out if needed. So.
Okay. Karen, I saw your wave. Was that because you're on the committee, or do you have something to?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if Dana saw my email because she had emailed me asking if I wanted to help, and I emailed back yes.
Okay, wonderful.
So.
Does anyone have anything else, Aaron?
So I was going to ask about the piano. I think that's and how that was coming along, and then you just chimed in with it. So we must have been on the same wavelength. So that's fantastic. I'm really excited about the piano, but I don't know if this is a question for Beth, but generally, how do libraries deal with public use instruments, especially ones that are very can generate a lot of noise? Especially while the while the library is in operation. I mean, I have a piano at home, and trying to get my kids away from it when they're really causing a lot of racket is very difficult. So, I mean, you want people to play, beautiful music and maybe practice some things that they've learned. But do you have any thoughts on that?
This sounds like a job for policy committee.
Mm-hmm.
I can certainly find out what other libraries are doing. Some lock it, and it's only available to people who are doing a program. I can't see. I would love to have it available. There is an app where people who are traveling and need to find a piano can basically rent or sign up to use your piano or practice space. And I think we would just have to be careful to not schedule, say, a meeting in community room B, the half near the kitchen, while someone is scheduled to be playing piano in community room A. But I think if there's nothing scheduled in the other half of the room, while the doors and walls and everything won't completely contain the sound, I don't think it will be a detraction for children's or teen services or float up to the second floor and cause disruption. But we won't know until we have it in and play it and test it out. It does have, we are asking for a player piano, player mode, and intend to do some programming around it too. And we may be able to just schedule those kinds of things for quieter times, as opposed to times when we think people might be studying. And I will address complaints as we have them, but we have a policy committee and we can always develop something around it if we need to. But generally, I think it's going to fall under not being disruptive and not vandalizing library equipment and materials, which are, code of conduct things.
Great. Yeah, I think I think the space for it is perfect. It's pretty far away from a lot of the study areas, the children's areas, and that room was probably designed so that you could have private meetings and shut the doors and it really wouldn't carry. So that was just my thought. And that space is rather closed off. So, all right, thank you. Good feedback.
Great. And Beth, I can look up at what other libraries are doing so that Daniela, you and I can talk about that at next week's policy meeting. My other question, bouncing off what Aaron just said, is would it be possible to include that the piano as sort of a rental of like one of the rooms in the system so that someone couldn't double book both using the library piano and that section of the room?
Possibly. I know one of the kind of issues we ran into is if you want, if you want like community room A, but then you want there's a way where you have to reserve both A and B if you want the full space. And normally it wouldn't let you double book rooms. So I don't know. The thing is though, if you request or reserve a room, it's not an automatic yes. Every single request is vetted and a staff member has to look at it, and it's very easy to then jump to say, yeah, before I approve community room A, I can go and see if there's something going on in B, and I shouldn't allow piano use in that room if there's a meeting, whether it's story time or Boy Scouts or condo association, in the other half of the room. So we will just kind of manually be vetting that.
Wonderful, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or comments before I move on? Aaron?
Yep, just to dovetail off of what you said, Stephanie, I haven't seen the meeting room system, but I think it probably says, what the amenities are for each of the rooms, like seats 8 people or 4 people, and this one has, 1 screen or 2 screens. Like you could probably just put the piano in as an amenity for that particular room. Just a thought.
And then
just
what will
have a
happen
quick-
is someone will book the 10-seat conference room and check off that they want the piano. And then I have to email them and say, we can't move the piano.
Yeah,
We're
I
doing
just
that
think
with-
we-
No, I meant as part of the room, is like, this has 8 seats, a seat, and a 9th seat is at the piano bench. I don't know.
I just wanted to say, we may want to think a little bit about this because this piano, we've got it at a very good, it's all quality craftsmanship, and it's going to be worth more than what we've ever paid for it. So we have to make sure that it doesn't get, if you heard it, you got to pay for it, so we just got to be careful about that. And I'm sure in the policy, we can discuss that. And there is a key, there is that one, that was a big part of getting this particular piano, we added the player element, and Beth wanted that so that we could have beautiful music playing whenever we wanted. You don't have to sit there, and it's quite incredible. So we could use it to even educate people about different music, classical music, and even Broadway tunes and everything. So, okay, that's just my little 2 cents. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Just as a point of order, if you're not speaking, could you please mute yourself so that we don't hear echoes? Thank you. All right, moving on to the next is the Friends membership update. So I'll provide that. The Friends board met yesterday. They were stuffing envelopes today for a membership mailing. They're now going to be doing book payments via PayPal through a QR code method. So they decided that the $5 minimum was worth it just for convenience for people. There was conversation about the library update, which Beth has already touched on a lot, and I'm sure will continue, so I will bypass that. And then was talking about upcoming spring and summer fundraising opportunities. So things that we can look forward to is we're talking about summer reading swag. So t-shirts, cups, pencils, the canvas bag. And there's a conversation going on about selling these both online and in the vending machine in the Friends Corner. There is an egg hunt scheduled for Saturday, April 9th at 10 a.m. They are going to start selling tickets on Saturday, March 26th, so just coming up. And there will be different book bundles and ways that you can help participate. And there may or may not be a surprise at the egg hunt. So the next thing after that would be the community read that is set up on Thursday, April 28th at 7. And then they will also be planting pots at that time. The spring book sale is already set up. We do have that reserved. Thank you. So a spring book sale is set for May 21st and 22nd. There is going to be an early access for Friends on Friday night. And then book bundles will be again at the spring book sale. You can help out, reach out to any Friends member if you want to help get ready for that book sale. And then looking forward to May, they're going to be doing a May the 4th, a Star Wars theme. So currently we have the community room held for that event, but no specifics on what's that's going to look like so far. So anyone who wants to attend the next board meeting would be Tuesday, April 19th at 7:30. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the Friends meeting? Okay. Seeing no questions, if we could move to the walkabout, Doug and Karen.
Another one has not been done since the one we talked about at the last meeting. Nothing new to update. Oh, Beth, did I miss something?
No, I just wanted to let you know that I did take you guys did a great presentation and a list with photos, and I did bring it to the construction team meeting. They were able to address the window that has the kind of ugly backing to it. They said there's no way to get to it because it's in a spot now where there's wall behind it, but they suggested we could just buy a roll of like a window film that will cover it, that will just go on the exterior, and we could actually do it to all the windows so that they match. So I asked, can you tell me, find what you're talking about at Home Depot or Lowe's, send me the link so that we can purchase it, and then we could have custodial apply it. So that was an easy fix. Another issue was the gutter downspout, which is freezing because they actually went back to the roofer who said it's because that spot's not getting any shade. So it's creating not quite an ice dam, but kind of like an ice dam. I am waiting for whether the amount of rust is normal or not. They are talking about, could they add like a heat wire to it, what's involved for electrical to keep it from freezing. But I have been assured that it was installed correctly, that it's draining properly, it's not leaking. I am hearing from staff that the runoff does drip on patrons, but it doesn't seem like extending the channel of that gutter because they would have to cut through the snow guard to do it, and they're reluctant to do that. So people may get a little bit of a drip when they go to the exterior materials return to return their items. So I had two things resolved. And then I did go through and comment and send it back out. So
All right.
it's
thank you,
really
Beth.
helpful.
Question on that. Since there's been an ice dam, is it just dripping? We're not seeing any icicle buildup that could be a danger? Okay.
No, it's like the water's freezing right at the gutter. The roof and the interior and all of that is fine. But the runoff, the complaint was, should it be doing that? And yet it's in shade, it's completely in shade all the time. And there's not, the only way to alleviate it would be to put in a heat strip. And then the second issue is patrons are complaining, but I think even if we put a heat strip in, we're not willing to change, extend, or turn the gutter so that people avoid getting dripped on, because that just, it doesn't fit the aesthetic. Would require modifications to the roof that could then lead to leaking. So we're just leaving it alone.
Is it possible? I mean, sometimes you see like over people's front doors, like the little overhang thing.
There is an overhang.
There is an overhang.
So I think what's
Oh,
happening is it's running down the roof, and some of it is catching on the overhang and then dripping again. The water's always looking for that lowest point. So I think, so there's this overhang, but you have to like go under a space where there's sometimes dripping to get to the materials.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there another walkabout currently scheduled, or that's to be determined?
Doug and I can chat offline and see.
Yeah,
but
we can
just-
schedule one before the next meeting.
Good, yeah. Mhm.
Great, thank you. Did anyone have any questions or comments? All right. Beth, could you provide us with a COVID update?
Yeah, so COVID update. We're at the end of March, so meeting rooms reopened mid-February, all those group studies, the large rooms reopened at the end of February. Adult and teen programming in person started up again in March. And we just wrote and sent out a press release today to let the community know that school-age children's in-person programming will be beginning in April. We are still holding to a mask requirement for the children's room only, because children 0 to 4, 1, cannot be vaccinated, and 2, are not required to mask. So we want everybody else 5 and up to mask to protect that vulnerable population. We occasionally get eye rolling. We also occasionally get thank yous. We still do have masks on site and are not charging this time around for people to mask up if they didn't bring one, so they can go in and use the children's space. So we're not, barring anybody. While manipulatives and computers are still out of order, those come back, I think I mentioned, as online or accessible April 1st, along with the in-person programming. And then story time and lap sit for the 0 to 4-year-old crowd will start in May. We're hoping to hold the majority of it outdoors, and if we can't, may limit numbers, spread out in the program room, possibly use the larger program room, have the door open and have masking. So far, everyone on staff is healthy. We hope it continues. Our paid COVID sick time ended March 15th. So that, could be an issue for people who have no, or everybody has a little bit of sick time because state law in Massachusetts, for every 30 hours you work, you get an hour earned and can use up to 40 hours a year. But that extra little bit was really helpful for either new people who haven't accrued or people who are only 15, 19, 17 hours a week. So we're a little sad that benefit is going away. And then I get a weekly report. You can sign up for it yourself too at grafton-ma.gov. I get a weekly email report every Sunday night that sends me to a link with a press release for case counts, numbers vaccinated, breakdown by age. So we're at 13 cases, down from 272 or so 2 weeks in a row. And then at 14 cases, and then at 17 this week. So I unmasked in the teen room today. It felt very strange. I'm the only person on staff not masking. Because I wanted the kids to see my face when we had our conversations about appropriate library behavior. But it was very weird. They generally are not masking.
Well, thank you for that update. Glad to hear that we still have some masks so that people don't have to get turned away and that everyone is currently healthy. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Dana?
Oh, Beth, I was wondering, I guess my question is, when do you think when will we know if we are allowed to have food and have events that have food and people eating food and drinking wine, if we do all the appropriate things, or what are beverages?
Yeah.
I don't know when you're planning that, and I know it could change anytime.
Yeah, so actually Nancy Connor at the Board of Health reached out to me today to remind me that here's the application. And ironically, I filled it out 2 weeks ago. But I still need to have, unless she corrects me that I'm wrong, a staff person who is trained in anti-choking in the building, basically somebody available on any shift where we're serving food to provide Heimlich maneuver for somebody who may be choking. And we haven't had that CPR recertification. It's always been through Town of Grafton. They do one for the public and one for the town employees. And we haven't been able to take advantage of it. They haven't offered it through the pandemic. So the holdup right now is that we need CPR training and anti-choking, and usually they do AED, and sometimes they do Narcan all at the same time. It costs anywhere from $80 to like $135 to do it individually. And you have to find a training. So I'm willing to pay anybody who wants to go and attend. I have 3 people who are ServSafe certified, which is like another requirement. If we want to elevate from, here's your self-serve pre-wrapped snack from a vetted vendor to we're going to make smoothies or put out our own cheese plate. So it's in process. I don't have a deadline. It's all dependent on how soon we can get CPR. I'm planning to get trained actually through a Jewish agency before my wedding so that we can implement it, at least for that date, because I want to feed people. And then I did my TIP certification, which is the alcohol service. So you trained on how to check an ID and how to watch for over serving and how to interact with people who may have been overserved. It's a really good training. I scored a 98% on the exam. That doesn't mean I want to go bartend, but I can, pour wine if the friends want to do a wine and cheese event. So as soon as we get the food permit, then yeah, we can move on and do that. It's only $40 for the certification. If anyone else can and get trained, that would be really great.
I will get trained, and I'll talk to you later about the choking thing. I think we need people that can do that, so I'll probably
Yeah.
get that too. But other people would be helpful too. Thank you.
Sure.
All
Now,
right,
I will
thank-
say you are allowed to eat and drink in the building. As soon as the mask mandate dropped, we allowed that. And we're just making sure we have plenty of trash barrels. We have a pest control program, and custodial is doing the best they can to keep up with emptying trash and vacuuming, so we can allow food.
All right, thank you for that update. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? All right, so let's move on to the director's report. Beth?
Sure. One moment. Feels like a long time ago. February was a very short month, so we were open, less days, and circulation was I think a little bit lower. But meeting room use went up because we were able to allow people to reserve meeting rooms. Just trying to find my stats here because it looks so pretty, so I'm going to share it. So anything in green means there was an increase from last month. Circulation for the month, I think, was 10,400 and something items. So this is the annual total to date compared over the last 5 years. So you can see the big dip when we had to close for COVID, and it's slowly creeping back up. So in all of last year, we only circulated 65,000 items, and already by March, which is a quarter of the way through the year, we're up to 21,000, so almost 22. So I anticipate exceeding at least last year's numbers. Items added are new materials that we purchased and acquired and made available to patrons in the library. Holds are staff-placed holds as opposed to patron holds. So this is a reference question, actually, when someone calls or comes in and says, hey, do you have a copy of Da Vinci Code? And we say yes, and we place the hold for them so that they can get it. We had a big spike in new library cards in February. I'm hoping it was the I Love My Library campaign that brought all of them in, but I suspect it was probably school break and new visitors and new traffic. 92 new borrowers, 90 were on site, and 2 are Grafton residents who just happened to get cards at other libraries. I didn't look to see which ones, but it could have been anybody in the CWMRS network. We had 54 museum pass reservations, 5 no-shows, and 49 picked up. A big increase, again, because of school break and people traveling and going to those attractions. Social media numbers either went up or remained, I don't want to say stagnant, but solid, I would say. I'm hoping for a big jump in March for YouTube subscribers, because if we hit 100 subscribers, we can rename the library's YouTube channel from www.youtube.com and a string of random characters to youtube.com/Grafton Public Library, which would be really nice for our branding. And Constant Contact had a big jump too. I'm trying to get in the habit of asking if I give somebody a new library card, if they want to sign up for the library newsletter, and then remembering to go right to the newsletter software and put their email in so they get that monthly update on what's happening in the building. But I think we're up like 20 new subscribers. Electronic resources, mostly up. Pronunciator, which is language learning, didn't get any usage. It's less than $1,000 a year and a really great product. It teaches over 100 languages in 100 languages. So if you want to learn French in Italian, because you're an Italian native speaker, you can do that. And it has flashcards and video lessons and pronunciation. It's this amazing resource that, in spite of all our promotion, people are not using. And then Freegal keeps dropping. I thought with people jumping ship from Spotify because of political brouhaha, that our Freegal use, downloadable music and streaming music, would go up, and instead it keeps dropping. So we need to do a push, I think, for marketing it probably in April. Comics Plus has a solid 2 uses. This is online streaming comic books. In 3 different age groups, 2 genres. There's manga, which is Japanese style, plus American graphic novels. May has free comic book day as a big event just before May 4th. I think it might be May 5th this year on a Saturday. So we're going to be doing a big promo for Comics Plus. In May, I did hang up signage in all of the comic and graphic novels section in the library with a QR code, so you can take a picture with your phone and get right to that free database, put in your library card number. And the best thing about it, you can't lose it, you can't damage it. They're always available. And I think the next step too is training staff. So somebody comes in and they want the next volume of the comic series Bone, and it's checked out, you can read it on Comics Plus. So we're trying to do some promotion. And I plugged tutor.com with some kids who are studying in the teen space this week and saying that they were having trouble with their math homework. Tutor.com does free online tutoring with vetted subject area experts for K through 12 plus resume help. You can email them a math problem and they'll turn it around in 24 hours to give you the example for how you should have done that problem. They won't do your homework for you, but they can provide an example. They vet and proofread and help edit college essays. Another underused resource, only 8 hits last month. AWE is 0 because the computers in the children's room have been out of order. AWE is our early learning literacy workstation that has math and phonics and English games on it. So if you're not testing these out, go to graftonlibrary.org and click on digital, and you'll see all of our electronic databases. There are some real treasures there. We can't promote them enough. In terms of programs and services, again, February, we started allowing, some programs. We did mostly virtual, but the numbers were all up. 17 meeting room uses with 33 attendees. We did 2 notarizations and no test proctoring, had 25 volunteers, 3 more, but they somehow gave less hours through the course of the month, which is kind of interesting. I did not get a figure for how many people served in home delivery. We have about usually between 7 and 8 people in the regular rotation. And then curbside, again, we have 7 or 8 people who are not comfortable coming in at all and still want no contact curbside delivery, who provided 19, drop off and pick up to Grafton cardholders in February. And computer use, it sounds really low. We do have an issue with teens forgetting to sign up in the teen room. So like I had to go up and remind them that I needed to just get their name for statistical purposes. It's also low because the children's room does not, again, have public computers, did not have public computers running in February. Regular, staff are busy and working really hard. I think the rest of my director's report is that we did at the end of the month make recommendations for 2 permanent part-time non-benefit staff to be added. So I'm happy to announce that Sarah Slocum is our new teen librarian working under the supervision of Allison Kusher, our head of young adult teen services. And Kate Kozlowskis, who is a bibliotemp, will be 18 hours working reference under supervision of Heidi Fowler, our head of reference. We also were able to add in, this is more March report, but we were able to add in 5 on-call temps to help us out. They're coming in for training Thursday and Friday this week, so you may see some new faces. Debbie Jackson, Erin McGrady, who is also a bibliotemp, Sarah Levier, who used to work for Worcester Art Museum and Higgins Armory and has a lot of public service experience. Eric Lindstrom, who has background in legal and law as a reference librarian. And the last person is Mary Bowen, who has a Master of Fine Arts and was a film and AV librarian. So we've got a lot of really interesting kind of new people to help us cover those service desks. So, and I sent out the report. It was, 6 pages. I already mentioned some of the comments and complaints and feedback that we've gotten, but I'm happy to take questions if I can clarify anything from what I sent out.
Thank you, Beth. Is there any questions or comments? Aaron?
Yeah, so the database use is, again, you're right, it's such a fantastic resource that the library offers. I feel that the more databases that we can make available on mobile devices are going to be a lot more attractive to people. I do remember having a lot of trouble getting Pronunciator going. I just actually ran through right here on the computer And it's really easy to do from the library's webpage. But I think the challenge is just trying to get the mobile versions working. So I don't know if that's helpful feedback or not. But yeah, in the Comics Plus is fantastic as well. Just I don't like giving my kids a tablet if I can avoid it, even just to read comics. But yeah, I've been using that one too. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Karen?
Yeah, I was just wondering how the 6 o'clock, that 1 hour extension is going on Fridays and Saturdays.
I have to be honest, I work long hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that I can leave by 3 o'clock for Shabbat on Friday. So
Yeah.
I'm not often here at 6 o'clock, and I don't work Saturday because it's Shabbat. But I can ask staff. I haven't heard, there's nobody here from 5 to 6. Or there doesn't seem to be a rush at 5 anymore because people can come in and take their time. What I do keep hearing is people were waiting outside at 9:45 to get in. Why aren't you open at 9 instead of 10? And both Children's and Teen Services are tracking how many patrons they have after 8 o'clock and are saying, it's dead in the building. There's nobody here. Frankly, it's kind of quiet after 7 o'clock at night. The teens are definitely gone by 6. And unless there's a program or meeting, which we haven't done because of COVID, it's pretty quiet. However, we have a bunch of programs on Friday nights coming up in April. So I will have a better answer for you next month. It's a good question, and I'm glad you asked.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Doug?
Yeah, the tutor.com. Yeah, I mean, that seems like that should be a resource that's heavily used. Is it geared more towards the student or the tutor or a combination?
Yeah, it's totally geared to students. So
Okay.
if you need help with math, with French, with writing a college essay, with SAT prep as an adult with a resume, you can log on. I forget if it's 2 to 9 or 3 to 9 daily. So basically after school, because they don't want you to access it in school, but Saturday and Sunday too. And you get matched with somebody who's been Corey checked and vetted, who can help you with whatever it is, studying, proofreading, how to do that kind of geometry program, drills for vocabulary. Yeah. So when people call and they say, does the library have any tutors? Our standard response is no, but we provide access to tutor.com, and you can go online and you can either do it anonymously or you can use your email and your card, set up an account, and even work one-on-one with the same tutor if you want to coordinate schedules.
That sounds great. It seems like maybe marketing and it's for all whatever, all age groups.
Yeah, it used to just be K-12, and now they've expanded our access to adults. I was actually looking this week because they have business card sized promos that I want to print out and get printed, so I can just hand them out to people in the building. Oh, I can't help you with this, but I forget how to do basic algebra, but here, get online on one of our computers and you can ask somebody who can tell you right now.
Yeah, that's great.
Beth, just going off of what Doug just said, I know that you have been in communication with the teachers in the school system in years past. Would it be worth kind of reconnecting with the teachers and just letting them know what we have to offer so that they can talk to their students if they need extra support and be more organic about it?
Yeah, we can do that. It's a great idea. Thanks.
Dana?
Yeah, I had a couple thoughts on that. But I think we should promote that more on social media. So maybe some of us can help that on our own pages, because that is extraordinary. And I'd like my kids to be using it because I know they need more help, but they're not. I'd like them to be studying more. So that's one idea. The other thing is, and please forgive me, my kids don't believe this, so I have to ask Beth. Hoopla, does that really give you access to the movies and stuff?
Yeah, so
They
Hoopla
don't believe me, so I wanted to ask.
Here's the thing. It has movies. Does it have movies the average person wants to watch? Maybe not. So it might have older movies. It might have black and white movies. It might have documentaries. It might have, National Geographic. You're not going to find the new Spider-Man streaming.
Okay, but if I was subscribing to Hoopla, it would be the same movies. Like if I was doing a paid subscription?
Yes, yeah, the
Okay,
library.
that's
account
what I
is-
need to know. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what we need to promote. That's really good. Thank you.
All right, does anyone have any other questions or comments about the director's report? All right, seeing none, I know that our public said that they were just here to listen, but I just want to give you the opportunity. If you have any comments or questions about anything that you saw or heard in this meeting, now would be the time.
I'm good. Thank you for offering.
Thanks, Jen.
I'm fine too. Thanks. And thanks for the meeting.
Thank you both for joining us. All right, hearing no other questions or comments, we'll go back. Beth?
I think did we skip over policy?
Yeah, that's what I was
We
going to
discussed
mention, the
policy?
policy review.
Oh, we didn't have anything listed for policy review. We are meeting again next week. Due to my being out with intensive for work and Daniela being otherwise disposed, we could not align a time this or last week. So we are going to be meeting next week to discuss several of our policies, and we'll clearly be looking at other libraries who have pianos or other instruments and seeing if we can pull something like that.
Sorry, what was the acronym you just said?
The
P&O?
any piano or other instruments. Like if they have any policy.
Oh, piano, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought
sorry.
it was a PNO, sorry.
No, piano.
I'm like, what's a piano?
Big instrument. So yeah, there wasn't anything listed for new business or policy review. So I just glazed over that. Any other questions or comments by the trustees or Beth at this time?
Sorry, Beth, is it too early to comment about the incident report? Are we still waiting for the town to respond?
I don't know. I guess that's why I was asking. So I guess I can give an update, which is the complaint that we had yesterday. The person did not respond directly to me, but went to the Disability Commission, who has reached out to Evan to ask legal counsel to review the unaccompanied adults policy and possibly other library policies. I also had correspondence with somebody who's an outreach coordinator for an organization that works with developmentally delayed adults to talk about some partnership programs and social groups that we can facilitate at the library to meet the needs of that underserved population. But I don't have, I sent out all the policies. We should review them and then we'll wait to hear back, I think, from the town if they have further advisement.
Aaron?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say, more just, it's appropriate. Legal counsel will take a look at policy, and they generally look at all our policy before we put anything in place. And they've likely already looked at that one, but there's no harm in having legal take another look if somebody feels that there may be some legal precedent. But most or not all of our policies are vetted by legal. Thank you.
Beth, I know that one was already vetted at its present standpoint by legal. If they take a look at it again, how fast can we expect a turnaround?
I honestly have no expectation. Traditionally, Jeannie Creamer is on-site or accessible the first and third Wednesdays of the month. I haven't seen an announcement or reminder though recently that she's around and available. And I expect, since this, it didn't come from me, that I'm giving her something and waiting for feedback. I just have no idea. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Doug, did I see your hand?
Yeah, I would just comment. I think our policies, right, as we always do, they're always up for review. And when there's a situation that arises that we haven't accounted for or is not clear in our policy, it's obviously a good time for us to look at the policy ourselves as well as with legal counsel.
Absolutely. Is there any other outstanding questions or comments that anyone has at this moment? All right. Our next meeting is set for April 27th. It is scheduled via Zoom. Town meeting is May 9th. As Beth said, please attend and vote. And then the election is coming up for May 17th, which does include some library trustee seats. So keep your eye out and continue to support the library. So without
Sorry, since you
seeing-
mentioned the elections, sorry to interrupt, but so we know Dana's rerunning. Is it Daniela that was up for, but she has not pulled papers yet? Okay.
I do have a patron who I suggested might be interested, gave him some information, and Aaron, I gave him your email to contact if you have questions. I believe that papers have to be pulled by Friday. 50 signatures or more are due back, I think, on Tuesday by, I want to say 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I forget, but to the town clerk in person by whatever time on Tuesday. And then if that deadline gets missed and somebody is interested, they can always run a write-in campaign. They can appeal to the board. And I think we have a month to bring a candidate to the select board after the election, and they get appointed to the next election. And then after the month, the select board could just appoint somebody. So it's not quite dire.
All right, wonderful. Not seeing any other hands and not seeing anything in the chat. Oh, Aaron.
Yep, just regarding meeting remotely, if anybody has any feedback, just email me directly. We'll continue via Zoom until we decide as a group, or if anybody has any opinion on how to meet going forward. But I'll happily hear your suggestions and comments.
Yeah, Beth, did we confirm that the room in the library is available for video recording and stuff, or we would just do a Zoom in the library and record it via Zoom?
I would do probably hybrid and use our new remote meeting owl to make the recording, because then it will record to the cloud. And that's just a heck of a lot easier. The sound quality is good and the video quality is good. And then just give the link to Bob Ditoma, as opposed to I as the only person in the group who I think has taken the community cable course. I would have to go check out equipment, set it up, learn how to do the live feed, which is new. I'd rather not.
And can you remind us what rooms that owl setup is in?
Um,
Or is it movable?
any room.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
Yeah. All right. And I'm so sorry, but I do need to excuse myself. So thanks and have a good night. I'm going to let you vote to adjourn and keep the meeting running.
Thanks, Beth. Seeing no other comments or hands in the comments section or the chat, does anyone have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second a motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor? Martin,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
and Stephanie Texera, aye. All right, this meeting of the Grafton Public Library Trustees is adjourned at 8:29 on March 23rd.